Okay, so hey everyone, this is Cara. I know a lot of you that are in the workshop tonight already, so thank you so much for joining me tonight. For those of you who haven't been able to meet in person yet, I'm Cara. I'm a co-founder of Boston Women's Market, and I also love doing educational workshops about all things marketing, e-com, sales, that sort of thing. So I'm really excited tonight to be talking about SEO. Is a topic that I know is always on a lot of people's minds or is always discussed a lot in the small business world, but a lot of people have a hard time actually grasping what it is. I'll totally warn you. We often do heavy topics. Marketing topics can be heavy and have a lot of content in them. This SEO topic in particular is very heavy. We're going to get to as much content as we can, but there are things we're just not going to be able to touch on tonight. So if there are specific questions after that, please feel free to email me your questions about a specific topic if we're not able to get to it tonight. As I said before, you can always put your questions in the chat panel, and I will be pausing periodically throughout tonight's workshop to answer any questions that come in. Or I love it when people unmute themselves, maybe turn on their cameras, say hello, and ask their question, or share their personal experience when it comes to their business. I think it's really helpful when others in the workshop share what's actually going on within their business as kind of like a little case study during the workshop. So please always feel free to do that. All right, so let's get going. Just a little bit more about myself. I probably have more than 13 years experience in marketing and sales at this point. I have a passion for working for small business, and that's where I've always really excelled and thrived. And I love sharing my expertise and knowledge and learnings with other small business owners throughout New England or wherever I've been working. So I specialize in marketing operations, creative communication, and e-commerce. So I love helping businesses take their ideas and helping them reach their potential. And I love working with small online businesses to help them really understand what it is they need to succeed, particularly when it comes to their e-com, their website. It could be a very Wild West world out there. And I try to make it approachable for people. So that's what we're going to try to do tonight with the SEO topic. As I said, again, it's quite a lengthy one. So I'll try to be really concise, and we'll try to get through as much information as we can. All right, so what is SEO? We're gonna start from the very beginning. If anyone has an idea about what SEO is, please feel free to put it in the chat, or you're welcome to unmute yourself and maybe talk about what you think SEO is. But in a boilerplate, SEO, well, it stands for search engine optimization, but really it's all about striving to satisfy user intent. Now, we're going to talk a lot about this user intent or search intent throughout the presentation. So I want you to keep that in mind. And when it comes down to it, I'm also going to remind you that when it comes to SEO, I want you to think like a consumer, not like a business owner. And as a small business owner, I know how hard it is to often take yourself out of the equation as a business owner and view things from a different lens. But try to think about how you behave as a consumer when you're looking for a new pair of winter boots, or you're looking for a new Roomba or something like that. That's the train of thought you want to approach search engine optimization at. And it's really going to help you understand how you're supposed to be relaying information to your customer. So these are a couple things we're going to be talking about a little bit more. Okay, so I want to go over what are the benefits of SEO over other marketing mediums. And when I'm talking about other marketing mediums, it could be paid Google advertising or Facebook advertising or email marketing, things like that. Number one, it's free. Search traffic is free from Google for, organic traffic is at least. When you're optimizing for SEO, the goal is to capture as much of that organic traffic as possible. And it's free for you. Just a warning, my dog might bark because the garage door is opening. We'll see if she behaves. Organic traffic is also more consistent than other forms of marketing. So maybe you can only send out an email newsletter once a month because you only have time for it once a month. Or maybe you only have a certain budget to, do a little bit of advertising here and there. Well, when you set a good foundation for your SEO, it's working around the clock for you. It's never turning off, and it's actually always learning and improving upon itself. So that's a great benefit to it. And another thing about SEO is the user is actively searching for that specific information you are providing. They are seeking it out, versus maybe other mediums where you're putting it in front of them, hoping that they will grab onto it, hoping that they will pay attention. But with SEO, they are specifically looking for those winter boots. So that makes that customer that is going to your website even more valuable than others. And then last but not least, Google. Google is king, right? Or queen. There are 4 billion Google users. That is unspeakable amount of potential and traffic that you can tap into. It looks like we have a question down here. Let me see. Oh, one of the questions is, am I going to be sharing these slides later? Yes, absolutely. I can, Angela. All right. Okay. That's great to know. Like, SEO is awesome. If we have a good SEO, it should help a lot of things in our business. But I think it's really important first to understand how a search engine like Google actually works first, before you can actually go and search engine optimize. Because if you don't know how Google works, then how are you supposed to build your website and your techniques to cater to Google, right? So let's briefly touch on that. Number one, Google crawls and indexes information. I was looking for photos of spiders and I'm like, oh, that's kind of gross. So I put these spider webs. What I want you to actually think about Google as crawling the web, whatever the web looks like in your brain, they're actually crawling websites all around the world, collecting data and bringing them back to, I guess, like the Google Hive or the Google servers and cataloging this information. Now, one thing to keep in mind is like, Google is not a human. Google can't necessarily figure out right from wrong or what's relevant and what's not. It's relying on us as content creators to tell it what is relevant, tell it what's accurate, and provide the searcher or the user the right information when they Google something. To do this, it often uses different algorithms. Now, the term algorithm is something that like you hear and you read about in blogs all the time. Totally get that. And it's often like a really mysterious kind of like question mark in the world of web. You hear it a lot about like Instagram changed their algorithms today. Like, yep, totally get that. But Google also has algorithms. Now, it's really hard to say what Google's algorithms actually are. It's estimated that Google actually changes and tweaks their algorithms 500 to 600 times per year. But there are people out there that like just focus solely on trying to dissect what it is that Google does and what they care about. And there are some key things that will help with your rankings that we're going to discuss in a little bit that Google really cares about. And the more you hit those points that Google really cares about, the more it's going to showcase your data and hopefully rank you higher and higher over time. Yeah, so that's kind of Google in a nutshell. Some of the important factors that Google looks at. These are like the top 3 I want you to pay attention to, because there are like hundreds of important algorithms when it comes to Google. But the 3 we're going to look at really tonight are backlinks. Backlinks are linking from one site to another. So for example, when Boss and Women's Market links to a business's page, that's a backlink for that business because Boss and Women's Market is linking to it. Search intent. Again, we're talking about the intent of the user, the intent of why someone is actually putting a query into their browser, matching what the user intends to see when searching a topic. And content depth. Google doesn't care about how much text you have on a page. It cares about the quality of text that you have on the page. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. And it's really all about solving the problem the user is trying to solve with their Google search, whether it is finding the best pizza restaurant in their neighborhood, or finding out a way to best moisturizer for dry skin. I don't know, anything you could probably think of. So I want to talk a little bit more about search intent, and I'm going to kind of like drill this home, I think, tonight, probably. Search intent, don't overcomplicate it. It is literally just the reason why someone is searching, the why behind their query. Why are they typing into the Google search bar what they're searching? Your intent shows Google that your website will fulfill a user's goal and deliver the results they want to see. Meaning your mission is to fulfill the user's goal. There are certain types of intent, which we're going to go over tonight, that'll become clearer. But your goal as the business owner is to supply the why for the search intent. And that in return will hopefully help your rankings. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit more about search intent. I'm using candles as a case study here. We do have a couple candle makers. I've kind of tried to go over a couple different topics tonight to hit a couple different genres of products. So tonight we're going to start out with candles. We're going to go over a couple different types of search intent that Google is going to care about. The first one is informational search intent. This is something like how to make a candle at home. You're Googling for a query, you're trying to solve a problem, a how, what, why kind of problem. You can see over here on the left that I've actually searched this, how to make a candle at home. And the first things that come up are a lot of blog posts. So Better Homes and Gardens, how to make scented candles at home. Spruce Crafts, how to make homemade candles for beginners. Pro Flowers, how to make candles in 8 easy steps. They're all very similar, but they're all very similar because Google has decided that these blogs from these 4 websites have met the search intent of the user. The more people that have clicked on these links, the higher this blog post is going to go up the list in rankings. So as more people click on Spruce Crafts, it is telling Google that, hey, yeah, this content is relevant to my query. It's meeting my search intent. Move it up the list to make it easier for other people to see. The second type of search intent I really want you guys to focus on is the consumer research intent. This is something like best candle makers in Boston. People are kind of like being investigators. You can see over here to the left that I've put an example of what came up when I titled or when I Googled best candle makers in Boston. I mean, I know we can all say that these are definitely not the best candle makers in Boston, but is giving a really short list of people that it wants to like drive direct traffic to. And that is because consumers or searchers have proven the search intent for this query. So these will rank higher and higher and higher the more people click on them. And then the third type of search intent I really want you to focus on for SEO is transactional intent. I know this is like the intent that a lot of people are like immediately go to. It's like, ooh, how do I rank more to make sales? When I Googled soy-based candles, this here on the left is what I got. These were the top listings. It is, I won't pretend that it's easy to be a top listing. A lot of these brands here that have shown up, they have big paid advertising dollars. They've probably been around a very long time. But when you think about search intent, it's about all 3 of these coupled together to support your search intent from a holistic purpose, not just from a transactional intent or a consumer research intent or informational search intent. So that's something we're going to be talking about a little bit more. You're really going to want to embody on your website all 3 of these types of search intent. All right, we're going to pause for a Q&A here, okay? I know that's like a lot of information already, but I really wanted to drive home the thought of intention when it comes to what people are searching for. Does anyone have any questions so far? You're welcome to unmute yourself. You're welcome to put on your camera or keep it off if you like, pop anything into the chat. or if anyone has any kind of ideas that they would like to share about their own business, we're welcome to hear those too. Let's pause for a few seconds to see if anyone does.
I have a question. Hi, this is Angela again.
Hey, how are you?
Good, good. I'm gonna put my video.
Yeah, hey, Angela.
I'm looking up. Let me move so I look at you. So I have an e-commerce and I'm learning about SEO. And what I understand is, or could you please clarify that I need to put in my words in my writing of my website, kind of my business is a sustainable jewelry. So should I use those wordings? I'm assuming just putting myself in the shoes of a customer if I'm looking for sustainable jewelry because I am into eco-friendly products. I should use those words in my website.
So we're going to get to that.
Okay.
Yep. We're going to get to that. But that would be an example of a transactional intent. When you're driving people specifically for e-commerce purposes, that's all about a transaction, right? So that would fall under this type of search intent. Okay. Now, if you were saying, maybe you wrote a blog post about the benefits of eco jewelry and what it provides, what it gives back, that would be more of an informational search intent. So when people Google what are the benefits of eco jewelry or what is this eco jewelry made of, the hope is that your blog posts about information that's relevant to the searcher would pop up and help drive traffic to your site. So there are a couple ways you can think about that, and that's a really great question. We're going to get to keywords soon, so hold tight on that. There's like hours of information that you could talk about keywords, but that's a great question because I know that's totally what people jump to first when they think about SEO. It's like, let's just talk about keywords. It's like, hold on, there's a lot of stuff we got to talk about first. I hope that helps.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone else have any questions before we move on? Feel free to interrupt me at any time. I always like talking to folks instead of, I always kind of feel like I'm like talking to the sky out here. So, okay. Let's see. Okay, next we're going to talk about backlinks. Backlinks are one of the top 3 identifiers that Google has identified in their algorithms that they care about. Okay, what is a backlink? To sum it up, it's about other people linking to your website on their website. And it's a way that Google measures accountability. And it's like when someone links to your website, it's like they're vouching for you. They're being like, yeah, I'm going to link to Angela's content because one, I'm vouching that your eco jewelry line is really great. I believe in it and I want to help spread that message and promote it. When your website is linked to by reputable websites around the world, it raises your credibility in Google's eyes. That's going to increase your ranking. All backlinks are not created equal. This means that if you get a link hit from the New York Times, that's going to be way more valuable and way heavier in Google's eyes than a bunch of backlinks from random forums that you might have posted. One thing I really want to stress at this point is to never pay for backlinks. If you are ever doing research about getting backlinks, you might see some paid services, and I would really just advise not to do that. Google knows when you're doing that and that they're spam. It's kind of the same thing when you're paying for followers on Instagram or paying for email addresses. They can actually hurt you and downgrade you. So when you're thinking about backlinks, just keep that in mind. But you might be thinking like, okay, if I don't do that, well, how do I get them? Or maybe I can reach out to 1 or 2 people like off the top of my head, but how do I get them? Totally understand that it does feel like a cold call. It kind of like when I was younger, my mom was a real estate agent. I remember she had to like cold call a whole bunch of people, for listings or, trying to get their house listed or for sale. It's like the same uncomfortable feeling. Totally get that. Like reaching out to people, asking them to link to your website. But I think if you do a little brainstorming, you can start this process slowly. So one great example is if you guys are participating in markets, so like Boston Women's Market or New England Markets or SOA, ask that market provider to link to your website. I will totally say this is something that Boston Women's Market could be better at doing. We could be better at linking to you guys to help with that backlink process. It's like something I actually realized when I was putting this information together. Reach out to your wholesale customers. A lot of you have a wholesale business or a growing wholesale business. They have their own websites. So have them link to your website on their about page or on their page where they talk about what products they supply. And then think about partners throughout the years that you can approach. Maybe you partnered with someone on a product collaboration or a marketing promo or something like that. See if they'd be willing to list you as a partner or something like that on their website. There are a lot of different avenues that are very unique to all of us. Sit down and brainstorm that. Over time, as you get press hits and build those relationships, your backlinks will grow and grow. When you're looking for information about your backlinks, I would definitely recommend digging into your analytics, whether it's something on Google Analytics specifically. You'll be able to dig into the referrals section of that, and you'll be able to see who is linking to you. I always find that to be really valuable information because you actually might be surprised where some of your traffic is being driven from. And then you can also look at the analytics section of your Shopify analytics or, in-house Squarespace analytics, but take a look at currently who is referring to you, and it might create some ideas for you. Does anyone have any questions about backlinks or want to share any ideas or experiences about their own backlinks? I will say, like, something that when I'm looking at Boston Women's Market data, I love seeing that people are actually Googling a lot of the small businesses that we work with, and they end up landing on Boston Women's Market because we're talking about that maker. We're also linking to that maker. And so it drives traffic for us and the small business owner. So it's like a win-win situation. All right. All right. So let's talk about keywords. I know this is like the meat of what everyone always wants to talk about, right? Okay. What is a keyword? I don't want you to overthink this. It is a word or phrase that people search what they're looking for, AKA their search intent. This is where I really want you to think as a customer. I want you to kind of like abandon all your knowledge maybe about your industry and pretend that you're like a total newbie to candle making or to jewelry making, and try to put yourself in the shoes of someone that is just looking for, let's see, a handmade greeting card. And when you're thinking about the keywords, the main question you're going to ask yourself is, does the topic drive enough traffic and have business value to make it worthwhile? I want to stress that you can come up with a list of thousands of keywords, but that doesn't mean that you should be using all of them. You really want to hone in on a couple sets of keywords that are going to be of value to you. We're going to go over in a little bit what actually that means, but just be aware, just try not to be overwhelmed when you're thinking about keywords. You're not trying to be everything to everyone. And I know we hear that a lot in the small business community. You really want to try to find your niche. And when you find your niche and you find your voice, you want your keywords to match your niche and your voice, because that's the audience that's going to be Googling for you and searching for you. And you want to fulfill their search intent. So a couple keyword do's and don'ts I want you to keep in mind when you're bringing up or creating your list for keywords. I want you to think in phrases instead of singular words, okay? This is called, if you Google it, it might be called a long-tailed keyword. So the example I gave here is, instead of the keyword of earrings, you're going to be using terrazzo clay earrings. Or if you're going to be, doing shoes instead of boots, you're going to be doing brown leather heeled boots. Those are more long-tailed phrases that are going to get to the heart of the search intent. And again, it's getting more to the heart of what the consumer is actually looking for and Googling. The don't I really want you to pay attention to, and Angela, this kind of goes back to you're talking about like, should I put the keywords all in my copy? Yes, but you have to do it in a balanced way. If you don't, it's called keyword stuffing. And Google knows when you keyword stuff. So unfortunately, keyword stuffing is something that still happens a lot. Like in the earlier days of the web, keyword stuffing was an easy way to get rankings, but that's not the case anymore. It will actually be downgraded. Google will actually downgrade you if it identifies that you have been using in one paragraph this term terrazzo clay earrings 6 times. Or you might often see like a paragraph on a website end in Boston, Massachusetts. Why does it say Boston, Massachusetts on the end? That has no relevance to the paragraph or the product I just read. It's keyword stuffing. They're trying to insert as many words in there as possible to hopefully rank on Google. One, it's unsightly, it is annoying to the consumer, and it's not quality. And you really want to think about quality, not quantity when it comes to your content, okay? And keywords are not just applicable to copywriting. This is something we're going to go over. Keywords are also important in your image naming, in your metadata, in your page titles, and so many other things. So whenever you pretty much are writing for your website, you always want to keep those key phrases that you've identified in mind, okay? So when you're choosing the right keyword, we did talk about how those long form or long tail keywords are really great. But it's not about one keyword that's going to drive a bunch of traffic to your site. When you run a report for keywords, you might see that a couple of the topics, a couple of your keywords on your website, maybe clay jewelry, that might be driving a lot of traffic to your website. But you might also have 20 or 30 other top performer keywords that actually make up the majority of your website traffic, not just that one hero keyword. So keep that in mind. Is about creating a melody of keywords that are going to work together to strengthen your business, and then also hit those search intent talking points that a searcher is querying for. Again, you can assemble a list of thousands of keywords, but you should not use all of them. Just keep in mind it's about quality of those keywords, not quantity of those keywords, okay? So as a kind of case study, we're going to look at some keyword research and a couple different avenues that you can take to figure out what is a good keyword. Because we spent the past few minutes talking about compile your list, choose the right keywords. Well, what does that mean, Cara? How do I do that? We're going to be using our friends at Simply Chicky to kind of show some examples of this. I've actually been working with Gwen, the owner of Simply Chicky, on some SEO things. So she's really top of mind for me right now. So one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to build a keyword seed list. The seed list is just a fancy term for building a list of keywords. Here are some of the keywords that I've put together for Simply Chicky. Organic baby clothing, organic cotton baby clothing, organic cotton baby gifts, newborn gifts, best baby gifts for newborn. You can, as you can imagine, I can go on and on and on with a seeding list, but that doesn't mean I should use all of these all the time. So how do I figure out, do some research about which keywords I should add to my seed list? Oh, and just a heads up on the left here, this is an example of my organic search content that I came up with when I Googled organic cotton baby gifts. These are the top results I got. So one of the tools I want you to look into is the Google Keyword Planner. The Google Keyword Planner is free. And if you have a Google account, you will have access to the Google Keyword Planner. You can see up here on the top left, it is associated with Google Ads. You do not need to run Google Ads in order to access it. The keyword planner will help you identify what words you can use in your Google Ads, but it's also going to give you data, like real-time data about how these keywords are all being used, around the US to fulfill search intent. So you can see up here, I actually started by just inputting the website of Simply Chicky right into the search bar. And this is one way you can use the keyword planner. You can put your website directly into the search bar, and it's going to automatically generate a list of keyword concepts it thinks you should take a look at. And it can also do things like exclude topics. So for example, here you can see I excluded adult ideas. I don't want clothing for adults or teenagers or men or anything like that. So I've excluded those topics from this search. You're going to see that a lot of these are similar, but you can see here under average monthly searches, the average monthly searches are quite different. The first one, organic baby clothing, has up to 100K average searches per month. But then you can get down to here, newborn clothes organic, they only have 100 to 1,000 searches per month. What I would recommend you do when you start this project is if you see a keyword that has like 500 to 1 million searches per month, I wouldn't really recommend going for it. It's kind of similar to, when you use a hashtag on Instagram and you look up that hashtag and it's like 5 million people have used this hashtag. Well, what are the chances of me actually being seen in that hashtag environment? Pretty slim. But if I alter it a little bit and maybe find a hashtag that has 500,000 tags, I'm more likely to be seen, more likely to be on top of the search results in Instagram for that hashtag. It's the same methodology when you're thinking about average monthly searches in Google. So that's one thing I want you to keep an eye out for, these average monthly searches. This competition section, I expect all the competition to be high within these because they are popular key terms. It's hard to say whether you should really discredit a keyword because of that. I like focusing mostly on monthly searches. Another great thing that you can get from here is 3-month change. So one really cool thing I noticed, which I thought I put in this screenshot, but I guess I didn't, was Easter baby clothing came up as a keyword. And it was like plus 900% over the past 3 months. Well, that makes sense. So if I'm running maybe the keyword search for my business, maybe every quarter, I'll be able to see right off the bat what changes have occurred. And maybe it would like create a light bulb in your head. Oh, geez, maybe I should add some language and copy to my website about Easter baby clothing because it's increased by 900% in the past month. People are searching for it. How do I capitalize off of it? Okay. So this is a really great tool. It's free. It can be a little like maybe intimidating at first to use. I would definitely recommend just doing a quick search on YouTube for a tutorial, like a how-to, and you'll find that it's really useful. A second way to start doing keyword research is literally scrolling down to the related searches section on your Google search. I'm sure you guys have all seen these gray pillboxes on the left-hand side. This is telling you what other people are searching for when they are searching for organic baby gifts. And these are all popular keywords that you could add to your seed list as options, or maybe pull these into your keyword planner, do a little research on them to spark some ideas and some options. Google Trends. Google Trends is cool. I don't use it as much as Google Keyword Planner. It is free. One thing I really like about Google Trends is it shows you what is gaining popularity and it breaks it down by states. And like, you can even like drill into a state and see what city that certain keywords are becoming more popular in. So if you really wanted to know if certain places in the US had certain interests, you could definitely go to Google Trending. You can also see down here that there are related topics and related queries, and you can see what is on the rise. Now, some of these might not be relevant to us whatsoever, like bodysuits for babies. I mean, to me, I would think like swim bodysuits, but maybe there's a baby bodysuit, or Marvel comics. I mean, maybe Marvel comic baby onesies. But there could be a couple outliers here that might just ping your interest, like bamboo onesie babies. Wow, well, that's interesting. Okay. Does my product use any bamboo material in it? Is that something that I can capitalize off of because it's a rising trend? And then Google Analytics. If you do not have your Google Analytics, please go and set that up. I will say that Google Analytics is changing format. So the traditional Google Analytics is changing to GA4. GA4, I think that's what it's called. And it's pretty easy to create your new GA4 account. If you log into your Google Analytics that currently exists, you're going to get approached with a banner on the top that says, hey, go create your new property for GA4, and it'll literally set it up for you itself by clicking a button. There are also a bunch of tutorial videos now on YouTube about how to set it up. So I definitely would recommend doing that sooner than later, because I think the old version of Google Analytics is stopping in June or July or something like that. So get a little head start on it, get comfortable with it. And from what I can tell, the Google Analytics A4 really does have some more fun, robust features. But in the meantime, if we're looking at just the traditional Google Analytics, I want you to go to your pages section, and I want you to view your top pages with the most traffic. So here on the left, we can see a snapshot of what Simply Chickie's most popular pages have been in the past, I think, month. And this is going to give you ideas for content and keywords. So I can see here, this blog news article right here. This is how much should I be spending on a baby shower gift. It has gained the most traffic for Simply Chickie website out of all the other product pages. That clues to me that this is a very valuable topic. Maybe I should research some keywords about it. Maybe I should do another blog post about it, because there's obviously informational search intent to this that is valuable. And then you can go down your URLs and see what else the top kind of ranking pages are to get more ideas about keywords. Okay. And then if you've ever done any paid SEO research or SEO research in general, you will be bombarded with paid SEO tools. I have used quite a few of them. And I will say my recommendation is Site Guru. I recommend that because it's so user-friendly. Like, if you don't know what you're doing and you just like want to dip your toes into it, one, they have a 2-week free trial. So there's like no commitment. I sound like a saleswoman right now, but that's just how it is. The dashboard is really user-friendly. Like it's common sense put together. A lot of these other SEO tools, they're like almost too powerful for a small business owner. It's like, I don't even know where to click or where to start or what this terminology means. I feel like Site Guru definitely makes it easier for folks. I just put a snapshot here of the monthly plans. I definitely use this tool to help me on my work with other marketing clients that I have for Boss of Women's Market, and it's really come in handy. So if you are looking for a paid option, this is the one I would definitely recommend. Okay. So to sum up this keyword section, which I know has been pretty lengthy, you can create a seed list with thousands of keywords, but that does not mean you should use them all. You need to find the keywords that have search demand and traffic potential. The funny thing, I've always seen this SERP, and I've never really known what it stood for until the other day. It means search demand and traffic potential. I'm just like, what is SERP? But that's what it means. And then once you compile your seed lists, ask yourself if those words match your search intent that you're trying to develop. Okay, I think I have, yes, I do have a pause here. If we have any questions, this is a great place to stop, or this is a great place to maybe share a couple of your own experiences building keyword lists or trying to tackle the topic of SEO and how it applies to your business. A lot of the people that registered tonight have similar businesses. We have a lot of jewelry makers registered, illustrators, that sort of thing. So if you want to share your own experience, please feel free to unmute yourself or plop it in the chat. So we have a question from Juna. Juna, you're asking, where do I use these keyword phrases? I have an Etsy shop. Do I use these key phrases in my listing description? Okay, that is an amazing question. And that was something that I was going to get to a little bit later, because we did have one participant register asking that question at registration. She's like, I have an Etsy shop. Like, is this a lost cause? Should I just go ahead and create my own website and try to do this? Part of me, yeah, wants to say, yeah, you should, because you're going to have control over your business and over your brand. This is something that we've discussed in several of our workshops on various topics of people are like, I have an Etsy shop. There's only so much you can do. You can only, yeah, Bridget, that was you. You can only do so much when it comes to your personal branding and also SEO. And when it comes to your, the good news is, and maybe I could find this slide, is that Etsy does show up in Google Shopping and in Google Search. I know personally, where is it? I thought I had oh, here we go. You can see in this one, it says Boston soy candles from Etsy, was one of the top search listings for transactional intent. I could tell you, for example, from like a personal thing I've been doing recently is I'm getting married in the fall. And one of the things I've been looking for are dried flowers. And so I've just been like, I've been looking on Etsy a lot, but then the other day I just also Googled it. The majority of the shopping links on Google that I clicked actually linked back to Etsy shops. People's Etsy shops were showing up. So it's definitely not a lost cause. You can 100% utilize a lot of these strategies within your own website, or within your Etsy shop. And it will help you on all fronts. But at the same time, will having your own website give you way more control of the situation? Yeah, it would. And, it could help to have a double whammy being on Etsy and having your own website. So it's something to consider whether, and you also then have to consider things like, do I have the bandwidth to manage 2 different e-com platforms? Maybe you do, maybe it's something you want to tackle. You'd be opening up kind of a gate there that you might not be ready to tackle. So you would have to consider a lot of other things to do that besides just if it would be good for SEO purposes. Juna says, so you're ready to have your own website. We're happy to help when you're ready to get your own website. Jules, you're saying Etsy SEO is so different from Google and you don't really have any access to analytics. Yes. You have a very limited view about how people find you, why they find you, versus with your own website. There are countless plugins, services, resources you can turn to gather information about search intent, which is your ultimate goal here. Does anyone else have any other questions about keywords right now? We're going to be talking a little bit more about them. Oh, wait, we still got to skip through it. All right, let's get back to where we were. Went through a lot of slides already. All right. I was really afraid we were going to be tight on time tonight, but we're actually chugging along. Okay. Oh, wow, it's 7 o'clock already. Yep. Okay. Oh, Jules says, does blogging help with keywords? Been thinking about starting my blog again. Yes, 100%. Okay, so I want you to think back to our search intents, right? We had informational search intent, we had transactional search intent, and then we had that investigation search intent. Blogging will help with all three of those, but it'll really help with informational and investigative kind of search intent when people are looking for how to knit at home, or they want to learn more about the yarn they're using, or they want a tutorial about knitting their own hat, or looking for best yarn types available in Boston. Those are all, I don't know, Jules, if you would ever want to use those ideas, but those are all blog ideas that can help with your keywords. That's one of the reasons why, we have at Boss Women's Market, we have a section of our website called a notebook. And it's one of those things where I'm always like, oh, I need to add more content to the notebook. I need to add more content. And one of the reasons why is because I'm aware that it'll help drive traffic to our website based on searches. So 100%, maybe you set a goal for yourself where you just really identify the top 5 blog ideas for your website by doing some keyword research. Maybe doing a little Googling about what comes up when you're doing those keyword researches. Do a couple blog posts around those keywords and see what happens. And maybe, do one every 2 months or something like that. Okay, so here's what I want you to do ASAP. And this is when we get to kind of like the more nitty-gritty action items section of the workshop for on-page SEO. This is kind of like the stuff I want you to do. This is a section that we could talk about for a very long time. And I want to say that everyone's on-page SEO is going to be very unique to their own business. So, if you want to talk about some examples of yours tonight, please feel free to raise your hand, unmute yourself, plop them in the question. We're going to go through a couple examples here about how you're going to implement this on-page SEO. Okay, the first thing you're going to do, which we've been talking about all night, we're going to identify the website's intent. What is your intent? How are you fulfilling the searcher's intent? I want you to focus on 2 to 3 intentions, whether it's in the information category, the transactional category, the transactional category. I want you to come up with a list of maybe 2 or 3 topics. In this one, I'm using Indian dinners as an example because the lovely Kay from Kay's Curries, which I don't know if she's on the call tonight, but she did register. I've used her brand in workshops in the past. So this would be something that could relate to a food business, for example. I want you to identify a couple intentions, okay? On the left-hand side here, I have one intention that is informative intention, easy Indian dinners at home. All the Google results that come up on the left-hand side for this search are informational, and they are all recipes about making dinners at home. Swap takeaway for one of these 63 quick and easy dinners, Indian recipes, 24 best Indian foods, 34 impressive Indian recipes you can make. So it's all fulfilling that direct need that I am asking and an intention. I then want you to create that seed list based on these intentions. So in this scenario, you might have a seed list for each of your intentions. So think of them as in columns. You have column 1 with your first intention and column 2 with your second intention. Your seed list under each of those intentions could be different, because you're trying to satisfy a different need for each of these. So with our first inquiry of easy dinners at home, so easy Indian dinners to make at home, some of my seed keywords might be these on the left: 5-minute Indian recipes, recipes vegetarian, Indian recipes for beginners, traditional Indian recipes. Once you dig into that intention, start digging into research for those keywords for that specific intention. So you can have a couple lists to use for different reasons. And then once you have your list of the intentions you want to focus on, the list of the keywords, you're then going to actually dive into your website content and meet each of these intentions. So you're going to update your website copy. You're going to write blog posts. You're going to utilize tags and meta descriptions in your product pages. And you're going to name images based on these intentions. When this happens, it all works as a medley together to amplify your SEO and prove to Google, hey, my website is meeting this need. Please rank me higher. It's all about it's not about just sticking those keywords in and hoping that you're going to rank better. It's about utilizing all these aspects and these tactics together to prove to Google you're worthwhile. Okay. So what does it mean to actually optimize copy when it comes to optimizing for SEO? One thing I really want you to focus on is you're going to want to make your content unique for each page and product page. I know this might sound daunting, particularly if you have a big product catalog. It takes a lot of time to manage a website. I totally get that. And battle it every day. You're like, the last thing I want to do is go and come up with a unique product description for my 20th pair of earrings this week. But if you're copying and pasting product descriptions from one page to the other, Google knows. And the Google gods are going to downgrade your website because it is going to think that, hey, how can that website over there on that product page over there how can this product be the same exact one as this one? What's unique about it? Like, what is its differential qualities? What do I know about it? If you're just duplicating product page copy, you're not really telling Google any value propositions. Therefore, it's not going to know how to fulfill search intent. So even if it's, going into your top 20 products, taking some time over the next week or two to focus on those top tier products to differentiate those product page type descriptions, it'll help. It'll be really valuable. And when you're looking at creating that unique content for the product page, think about the unique things about the product. Maybe I was just working for a website for Stitches by Sammy, and she creates embroidered hoops. We talk about things like fabric colors and patterns and stitching colors and whether it was a pink hoop or a wooden hoop. Those type of things matter, and those are all going to prove to Google that your content is unique and worthwhile. When it comes to writing content, I want you to speak like a sixth grader. I don't want you to go into really fancy words, okay? It has to be easily readable to anyone. It has to be easily skimmable. No long narratives of text. It's unbelievable how, particularly on like about page, I get it, like on about pages or, supplemental pages like that, information pages, it's so easy just to like write a narrative. But you're going to have 3 seconds to capture someone's attention and they want it to be skimmable. Use subheadings and break your text up into sections. And this is really where you're going to want to use those H1, 2, 3, and P tags in your text. I have definitely found, and this might be a little confusing to people, when you go into your Shopify or Squarespace and you're formatting text, you might have seen these H1, 2, 3 formatting tags within your text box editing tool. You need to use them. It's not just about the look and feel of your text. Like, sure, you might know when you change the title of a page to H1, that it looks and feels the way you want, it's the size you want, it's the font you want. But when you tag text H1, you're actually telling Google that that is very important information on your page that you want Google to know. So when you are using H1, 2, and 3, you're telling Google, hey, these are the important keywords. This is the information I want you to catalog and base my search intent on. So that's another reason why breaking your long narratives, if you have them, up into subsections and using headings to break that up, maybe as a H1 or H3 heading, is really important. Do not leave page titles and page product descriptions blank. I am so guilty of this. Like, sometimes I'll go into a product and I'm like, oh my God, I have not entered the meta description for this product. I am, in sense, not telling Google what the heck this product is. It doesn't know what kind of candle it is, that it smells like lilacs and it has a wood wick that burns for 8 hours. Google needs to know that. And I understand it is labor intensive. It is time consuming. And as a small business owner, your time is very valuable. Again, I would encourage you to just go into those top performers, address them, and then slowly work down a list of others. And then fix broken links. When people land on your website and they land on one of those 404 error pages or a page not found, one, they're going to leave your website immediately because it looks like it's not like a good, authentic website. But Google is going to know that people are leaving your website without interacting in it. That's what's called a bounce. So when you look at your Google Analytics, you might see something called a bounce rate. If that bounce rate is high, it's because someone landed on your website and they took no further action and they bounced, they left. When your bounce rate is high, Google views you as, maybe this website isn't really meeting search intent. Maybe it's not really valuable to the customer or searcher. Maybe I should downgrade it and I'm not going to show it anymore. So all these user experiences really matter. Okay, before we get to this, I'm going to pause, see if anyone has any questions about that content so far, or would like to unmute themselves, share any information about their business. I'm going to take a sip of water. All right, we'll keep going. Okay, so what does this string on the right-hand side mean to anyone? Does this mean anything to anyone? Colorful /_/D6401585. If it means nothing to you, then it means nothing to Google. I'm guilty of this too. Taking the time to name my images on my website something unique, something recognizable, something identifiable, but you need to do it because images are just as important to Google as your copy is, particularly when it comes to something like Google Shopping. Or I know when I'm shopping, I often flick to the images section of Google and look at images there. And if your images are named a string of characters or abstractness, Google's not going to serve it. Google has no idea what you're doing. So in this example, I want to name my image something really friendly. So instead of this string of random, I'm going to change it to my company name, Best Friends Pajamas Co. I just made that up, with the underscore of what it is, banana jammas, and a dog. So what I'm going to do is make sure that particularly all my product images and my brand assets, things like your logo, anything like that, has a really searchable image name. Now, again, I bet all of you are like, God, I have so many images already on my website and product images. Like, I have to go back and rename them all now. Well, yeah, you do. Like, Google doesn't know what, Angela underscore headshot underscore, 800 whatever means. I'm just making that up. You have to change it to something that Google would like and something that would identify it back to your business, okay? The other thing that's really important with images is do not forget your alt text. Our alt text is totally easy to forget. I honestly forget it all the time. When I am working on product pages, I'll even if it's not the alt text or images I'm working on, I'll just dig into the image to see if the alt text is there, just to check random spot checks. And I'm just always shocked about how much alt text I'm even missing, and how it just keeps popping its head up. So alt text for images is really important to, one, identify what your image content is for Google and search engines, but it's also really important for people with disabilities. I've talked about this before in past websites. It is very important, particularly in this day and age, to make sure that your website is accessible. And alt text for images is something that's really important to do that. I will stress, if alt text is or accessibility is something that you're interested in, you're welcome to email me. I can give you a couple more tips about that and a couple, paid services that will help you become more accessible. Start with alt text though. And then fix your image size. Don't take your original professional photo from the photographer that is 1,000,000 gigabytes big and upload it to your website. You need to take the time to bring it into something like Canva and bring it down to size. After this, when I send the recording out, I'm going to be sending a couple helpful links, one of which are recommended image sizes for a website. I think the link I'm going to send you is specifically for Shopify, but it's a really great guide for all different website platforms that'll help you understand what is an appropriate image size. But you can bring an image right into Canva, resize it, and download it. Now, I know that takes time, but large images will slow down your website and create a poor user experience. And that's going to hurt your Google ratings. When you have poor, slow websites, it's sucky and your website loads in pieces or is fragmented. And that can turn visitors off. And if visitors are turned off, they're going to leave and Google's going to downrate you. See, I think we have a question coming in. Laura says, shocking. That Laura is my mom, by the way, everyone. Thanks, Mom. All right, let's see. Okay, and the last one, which I'm going to put with a caveat, okay? No text as an image. Google can't read what is the text that's displaying in this image. Now, you can add the alt text, right, to this image, but it is way less valuable than actually having the text of heirloom quality, non-toxic, eco-friendly dyes, machine washable and tumble dry, actually written out in a product description. It's going to rank higher and be better for your Google gods everything. So if you can avoid it, make sure important information is not in an image format. I will say that, like, if you're really set on like having a heading or a styling on your homepage a certain way, you can only achieve it by, creating an image with text in Canva or something like that. I've done that, and that's okay. You can do it for certain things here and there, but make sure you're not doing it for value propositions like we're doing here on the left-hand side, because we can be using those so much more effectively. Okay. All we've talked about too is talking about user experience, which is UX in the web world. User experience and user interaction is going to directly impact your ranking. So if a user doesn't like their experience on your website, Google knows, because Google is tracking all the interactions, where someone clicks, how far down in your page someone scrolls. If they're not interacting with it, Google's going to think you're irrelevant and you're not meeting search intent. And it's going to affect your ratings. So what we talked about before, high bounce rate, low page interaction. People aren't clicking and looking around. Low time on the site. If someone goes on your website and they're only there for 2 seconds and then they leave. Low click-through rate. If people aren't continuing onto their journey after their first landing page. So say they found you by Googling newborn onesies. They land on one of my product pages, but they don't do anything else and then they leave. That's a high bounce rate, and then low click-through rate also, which Google's going to know about. And then when it comes to user experience for Google, mobile is first. As of 2019, Google ranks interaction with mobile and indexes mobile websites before desktop websites. So you want to make sure, even though you want both of them to look great and have great user experience, you really want to make sure your mobile site is really user-friendly and loads on different platforms, whether it's a tablet or an Android or an iPhone, okay? Okay, so I've done a lot of talking tonight, but to sum it up, when you put all these things into play, revolving around search intent, you're going to get higher rankings. Now, this is not instantaneous. This is not like, okay, Cara, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do all this on-page SEO, in the next week, and I should see improvement in my rankings and in my traffic like overnight. No, it doesn't work that way. Think about one of our examples before, when we were talking about informational search intent, where over time, more and more people are clicking on that link and Google's like, ooh, people like this, I'm gonna move it up. Oh, more people like this, I'm gonna keep moving it up. That takes time. That's not an overnight situation. So it's going to take months, and it's an evolving thing. Every time you add a new product, you should be thinking about these things. What intent am I trying to fill? Every blog page, what intent am I trying to fill? What kind of searcher is going to be landing on this information, and how can I cater to them? One thing that I didn't put in a slide here, but I really wanted to hit home here because we're all local businesses. We're all small business owners. Don't forget about local when it comes to doing things like your keywords. I've spoken to many small businesses, and I understand that, the dream is to, not do as many in-person markets and, really just convert to online. But don't forget about that core community that you've built locally. Generate some seed lists for that community. Start ranking for your local community and your local buyers. Don't forget about them, okay? Whew, okay, that was a lot of talking I think we did really good on time. I'm actually quite impressed because I was really afraid we were going to go way over. Okay, so this is where the floor opens for questions, stories, comments, any kind of like scenario you want to share about your business or anything like that. I would love to hear anything that you guys would like to share. So feel free to unmute yourself. I'd love to chat with someone. Or you can plop your question or comment in the chat box also. Let's take this moment to get some water. So I will say, like, while we're waiting to see if any questions or comments come in, this topic, like, again, we can go a long time into it, and we didn't even really get into like the nitty-gritty of how other things on your website could be influenced by SEO and kind of best practices when building your website to make sure you're capitalizing on SEO. So if you do want more advice, more guidance, you're welcome to reach out to me. I work with several small businesses in the Boston Women's Market community on SEO. That's actually one of the reasons why I decided to do this topic tonight, was because it was just so top of mind for me, and it was like so relevant to everyone. And the springtime is a great time to sit back and take some time to do these before heavy market season starts. So. All right, guys. Well, it seems like no one has any questions, which either means everyone's asleep or, it was like really informative and clear, which I'm going to say was that. So, oh, we got a question. Cara, you gave me a lot of homework. I know, I'm sorry. Actually, when I work with clients on marketing initiatives, I actually create homework for them. So I totally feel you. Like, I create a homework Google Drive for them. So I totally get it. Well, my contact information is here, which most of you already have, because I'm usually the one that sends out all the communications from hello@bostonwomensmarket.com. Please feel free to email me with any follow-up questions. I am going to be circulating some helpful links to the things that we spoke about today, like links to Google Planner, keyword search, trending, all that kind of stuff. There's some other helpful things. And then I will be circulating the recording of this too, so you can refer back to any information. We're trying to get our next workshop on the books in May. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be posting registration for that soon. So thank you so much for joining me. Have a great night, everyone. And I will see you at Boston Women's Market very soon. Bye, y'all.